Hey everybody, Regina Andler here, and it is time for Coffee with Regina. And today I have my good friend Christie Ruffino with me, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Christie before we welcome her in because she does some really cool stuff. So Christie knows what it's like to feel weighted down by challenges that seemed impossible to overcome. Anybody else ever feel like that? I know I have. And she did overcome them. She learned that instead of saying, why me, she said, what's next?
Mm.
And it allowed her to guide her into discovering her true life's purpose. Now, we all want to learn our life's purpose. I mean, isn't that just the way things go? And so she went to make even a bigger impact by sharing her journey and her wisdom with others to equip them to have profitable businesses following their life purpose as well. So she went from being a broke single mom. Any broke single moms out there? She went from being a broke single mom to a top rated podcast host, a best selling author with 15 books, and Profitize Your Purpose coach. So she loves guiding entrepreneurs through through her process to harness the power of your story, your systems, and community to build a more dynamic brand, attract more clients, and make more money. Welcome, Christie.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Regina. Thanks for inviting me into your community and on your show.
I am so happy to have you here. Just looking at your bio and what it is that you do and having conversations with you, there's a lot of stuff packed in there. T- tell me about first, like, broke single mom, and it was like, why me, and what's next? How did you make that transition?
Yeah, well, so I had a experience in my life where I thought, well, basically, I thought my life was going in a great direction. Married, the traditional white picket fence life, and all of a sudden that ended. Now, it ended, it was a good thing that it ended. However, I was in a position where I had to figure out how to earn a living and support my family, my children. And, it was just this time where I was so overwhelmed with how I could make it happen, that it just became so overwhelming for me. And so I had a couple of years, it was very dark. I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. It was a constant struggle. And on that journey, somebody invited me to be part of their company. And that led me to start a networking group. And that networking, one little chapter turned into a national organization with many chapters. And about maybe 5 years into that, a mentor of mine said, wow, it's incredible what you did, how you took near bankruptcy and turned it into, and all of a sudden you've got this 6-figure successful business. And she asked me to share my story. And that's really kind of what got me to recognize the power of story, and not only being able to share your story so we can grow personally, because when we dive into our story and share it, we're able to write our next best story. And so that was a really cool part of the opportunity for me. But it also allowed me to position myself differently in my business. It gave me more confidence because I was an author, and I realized, wow, there's something to the story thing. And so that's kind of what got me on the journey of story.
So there was a lot of really juicy stuff packed in there. So you go from being a single mom and trying to figure out, who am I, what am I supposed to be doing, to finding your purpose. And now
Mhm.
I, you know, I work with, business entrepreneurs as well, mostly coaches and consultants. And I usually tell them, your avatar is basically who you were before you became who you are now.
Yep. It's like
And
you in your rearview mirror, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's that story is so powerful. So, when you talk about, your life purpose, and we
Mm.
talk about, have you found your life's purpose? And I think there's a lot of people out there that still are, they're discovering what that is. So they may have started a business going, I know a lot about this stuff,
Mm. Yeah.
and then they're like, yeah, it doesn't really resonate with me. And it's like, okay, so you're creating a job for yourself. You're not actually creating a business because it's really not your life purpose. So how do you discover and step into what it is you're really supposed to be doing?
Yeah. So it's funny because um, I know how important it is to discover our purpose, but it's something that's really hard for us to do ourselves. But when you are able to figure it out, it's like the world opens up to you. And one of the things that, I've been helping women share their stories for about 11 years now, but about a year, maybe about 9 months ago, maybe it wasn't even that long, I heard about this, flipping through Netflix. I saw this story about Blue Zone. It's like a series. Somebody has been doing research for years about the areas in the world that people live to be over 100. And so they call these areas the blue zones. And it's the areas in the whole world that have the most centurions. And so one of the things, I was just fascinated by that, right? I wanted to learn how we could live not only longer, but better. And so one of the things that they determined throughout all of their research is the areas that they had this mass amount of centurions, they had a specific purpose. And if we don't have a purpose, we tend to kind of feel like we're just existing. But when we have a purpose, we're excited, right? We're ready to do what we want. And we almost sometimes can get to the point where we feel invincible. The challenge is, at least from my perspective, so many women don't follow their purpose, because what they do is, they get out of school and they go to college and they get married, they have children, and they do things to serve other people's purpose. Like, how can I make sure my kids live a great life? How can I serve my husband? Maybe they have a job. How can I help my employer with their purpose? And they take their purpose and then put it on the back shelf thinking, oh, someday, one day it'll be my turn. But what happens is we don't always get that time, because tomorrow is never promised. And as soon as we can really put the stake in the ground and say, you know what, now it's my turn. I'm going to figure out what I do best. I'm going to figure out my genius zone. I'm going to figure out what I can do to make a bigger impact in the world, and just do it. And then it's amazing how you end up by serving those around you even better. It's almost like, the oxygen mask story on an airplane. You got to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others. And it's really the same way in our lives. If we can just own the fact that we have to follow our purpose, we'll be able to serve more people, and we'll be able to create an example for others around us to step into their purpose as well.
I love all of that. And as I'm watching you talk about that, I know you're doing your life's purpose, because your energy is just like, you like lit up when you talk about that. I love that. And that's how you really know that you've discovered your life purpose. It does. It lights you up, and people all around you see that energy. And that was amazing.
Yeah. So we kind of shared our coffee cups initially, and this is a coffee cup that I made with my grandkids. And I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but when you have grandkids, it changes your perspective. And when I looked at my little granddaughter when she was first born, because she's my first grandchild, and I just looked at her and I thought, you know what? I don't want her giving up her life and giving up her purpose and not shining as brightly in the world as she can. So I thought, I have to live that example so she can light up. And my grandson, of course, too, right? But women tend to be the ones that kind of put their little stories on hold to help other people. But yeah, you know what? We will light up. We all will light up. And the right people, the right resources, the right opportunities will come to you at the right time, because you are following your purpose, and the reason is right for them to support you, and for the universe and like the whole world to just become aligned with you.
Yeah, and you when you said that, I just wrote down the shift,
The shift.
because because you think about it, and I was going to ask you, people talk about how women as in our capacities, we are brought up to be the
The
caretakers and to take
nurturers, yeah.
care of all that stuff, and the nurturers, right? And
Mhm.
it's a generational thing, that from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. And when I say the shift, you're breaking that process. You're saying, you know what? yeah, sure, you're going to grow up, you're going to have a family of your own someday, and yeah, you're gonna do what you can. However, you need to understand that you are a person too, and you need to take care of you. So you're helping them with that shift.
Right. And we can still be the nurturers, but not at our own expense. So we can nurture others as long as we're nurturing ourselves at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's huge. I think for a lot of people that
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of women out there who are even trying to build their businesses, and they get caught up in the day-to-day stuff that is
Yeah.
their life. So it's that you know the family, the husband, the
Yeah.
significant other, whatever it is, and they aren't really playing full out because they feel like they're not supposed to. It's like, no, I have to go take care of this stuff, and then I can go take care of me.
But then it becomes safe. See, so that's the problem is I would say it's a problem. It becomes safe. And we may think or realize or decide, yeah, we want to do what we want to do to serve ourselves, but that's new and that's scary. And we've been in our little safe zone for so long and comfortable. And it's sometimes hard to make a decision that is maybe going to be hard for a little while. But once you make that decision and you kind of get over that hard, everything does become easy.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny that you said that because it's true. It's
Yeah.
we get into that comfort zone,
Yeah.
and you know, anything outside of your comfort zone is always uncomfortable to start with because it's outside your comfort zone. And then you need to expand out there, be uncomfortable for a little bit, and then you get used to that. And now that's part of your comfort zone. The thing is that we call it a comfort zone, but your comfort zone isn't necessarily full of stuff that's all comfortable. It's
No,
yeah,
no, it's not always comfortable, but it's known,
yeah.
right? And doing something different is the unknown. And there's cases all over the place where people stay in bad situations because that's all they know, and they feel that the alternative would be worse.
Yeah, and you know, it's a lot of people that are thinking about, you know, I want my business to grow. I
Mhm.
want to move forward. And, you know, I have a story. I have experiences. I have training. I have experience. I don't know if you've seen I've seen commercials on TV now. It's what is it? It's get rid of the paper or something like that. It's about you don't have to have a degree to succeed in life.
Yeah,
And it's very true
totally.
because
I believe that.
yeah, when you live through those life experiences and you've discovered ways, you purposefully went out and discovered ways to make it easier for yourself. It's almost like you know, we're kind of falling back into the nurturing others. It's like all of a sudden it becomes our life purpose to help others
Yeah.
get through that same journey easier because now we have, you know, tips, tricks, and we've been through there.
Yo, totally. And so the first time I shared my story in a book, I mean, it was a story about my divorce. I was still not, that was years ago, and I didn't realize how that decision or that trauma, the tragedy of my life became the fuel to, what I'm doing now. Oh, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. But what did you say before that?
So that's a good question.
Okay,
I was so
I
wrapped
can't
up in
be
the
the only
conversation.
one that's ever done this, but I'm terrible.
Yeah, we're human, right? It's permission to be human. That's why this is a chat. You know, it's like
Yeah,
for all of you who watch Coffee with Regina, literally nothing here is scripted. We don't come in with pre-programmed
we have
questions
some
or
more to
anything.
see.
We literally just chat and see where it goes,
Yeah.
and it always goes someplace fascinating. So you know, you're talking about the story, and you know, you put your story in the book, and then you know, so after that first book, what happened?
Okay, well, I'm just gonna. There was a purpose why I was sharing that, but I don't
Come back
remember.
to you.
We're gonna move on. So after I shared my story the first time, at that point, I already had a thriving membership community. I had, I don't know, like 400 members, chapters in many states, and I thought, wow, this was such a great experience for me. I want them to have the same opportunity. So we did one book. I shared it. A lot of my members thought this was a great opportunity. I had other people in my network that joined the project. And then when that was done, we had so many great success stories that we went on to continue to do more. And so right now we have published 12 books under the Overcoming Mediocrity brand. And we just finished our Overcoming Mediocrity Epic Women book. And now we're doing another co-authored book under a different brand. We kind of evolved to do more than just share your story, but now share your story because your mess became your mission, and now I help them monetize that. And so there's a little bit of strategy about how to build a business in that too. But I'm excited because it's really it's going to be called Mastery Unleashed, and it's going to coincide with our podcast, the Mastery Unleashed podcast. And then we'll have multiple Unleashed books after that, but our first one will be Mastery Unleashed.
Oh, I love that. So are all of these books collaborative books?
All of them, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So if somebody wanted to, partake in, and submit a story or something like that, is that something they could do with you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where I'm always looking for women that either want to share their story to leave a legacy in the world or share their story to build their list and build their brand. Because our authors also, part of the process is using the book as a list building opportunity. And, the more we build our list, the more opportunities we have to serve those people on our email list and invite them into free opportunities. And then eventually, hopefully, may want to work with us.
So I know you gave me a link. Is this where they'd get a hold of you?
Yep. That's got a lot of resources on it. Some freebies and links to connect with me on social. There's just a lot of things on that link.
Oh, that is so awesome. Now you did say a couple things, and it might wrap around to what you were going to say.
Okay.
You were talking about the trauma, and I love the phrase of turning your mess into your mission.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about, divorce can be a trauma. A death can be a trauma. Loss of a job can be a trauma. And as people, as humans, we have choices. And you can choose to live in the drama of the event, or you could choose to do something about it. And, I think that's the power of all of us, men and women, who have decided to rise above and turn that mess into the mission and say, I'm not going to live there. I'm going to do something about it. And then I'm going to help others do the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know what I was going to say. So after I shared my story, it was about 9 months later, somebody reached out to me and thanked me because they were right in the middle of the mess that I had already gone through. And in my story, I shared some great tips for them and some resources. And so it is a very powerful thing when you're able to help other people who are like just in the weeds, and you can give them hope because you've already been through it. And I know there are so many things in my life that I went through that were pretty heavy. And I really wish I would have had somebody's story to read at that point, because it would have given me hope and it would have made me feel like I wasn't so alone.
Yeah. Do you think that is kind of the primary mission of most of us with whatever it is that we do? I'm a business coach and I help clients build their businesses, get more clients of their own and that kind of thing. You help people create programs and find that life purpose and move through all that stuff.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when it comes down to what is it that we really provide people, we provide them the hope that there's something else out there that's going to help them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't need to have a degree. We don't need to have a degree to help people. We can have a degree from life experiences. And for us to be able to take what we learned through not only, the tragedy, the mess, but everything else, the cumulative wisdom that we've gained through our life, there are always people that are 1 or 2 steps behind us. So if we can bring them with us and expedite their journey and hopefully help them get to where they want to without all the mistakes that we made. I mean, my journey was years to get where I am now. My divorce was like, I don't know, way too long ago. And so there's so many things I've learned throughout my life that I didn't learn from school that I can really create an impact in the lives of others.
Yeah. And when you think about that, I was just thinking, it's like, we talked about nurturing our family, our kids, those around us,
Mhm.
our village, right? And
Yes.
so it just made me think. It was like we're just turning around and nurturing this other village. It's we're still nurturing, we're still helping, we're still
We
sharing
are.
the wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're able to actually help more people too, when we get it out there in a bigger way. And sometimes it's hard. I mean, I'm an introvert, and just to feel exposed, like the first time when Michelle asked me, I said like, no, right away. I'm like, no, I don't want to share my story. She convinced me by saying, well, hey, Christy, if your story can help just one person, why would you say no? What could I say to that? But it is, we don't recognize the value that we can provide others just by the simple process of sharing our stories.
Yeah, it's the ripple effect.
It is.
It, it's you help that one person, and then that one person in turn helps another person, and that person helps another person. It's you know we are all connected. That's the first universal law, is the law of connectedness. So
Yeah.
it's we are all connected to each other, and when that ripple starts, and it's a good ripple instead of a bad ripple, because bad
Right.
ripples go out too,
Yeah,
and
of
then
course.
you feel them. Honestly, I look for some of those. I look for some of those because I like to be the person who stops that ripple. It's like, okay, we're stopping right here, and we're
Yeah.
switching it around, and we're doing something better.
Well, and let's face it, we all do that ourselves too. I mean, there are times we have our own bad ripples going out there. And so
Mhm.
to be able to catch that, or have people in our lives that are willing to speak into us, say, hey, let's work on this.
Yeah, I love that, because there's just so much that we all can do, and it really does. More and more, I teach people to use their stories as well,
Mhm.
and the more I talk about using stories, the more it's like that is the anchor. That is where everything starts. It's like, tell your story. You like you said, you were like, when somebody asked you to share your story, you're like, I don't want to share my story. And then you did. How did that actually feel the first time you told your story?
It felt kind of good in a way and kind of scary. Good because I felt like my divorce was pretty bad, and I'm like, finally everybody's gonna know the truth, right? And the first time I wrote my story, I, I couldn't publish it. So my mom read it and she's like, oh, this is so true, but we can't do it like this. So we have to be a little bit more objective about it. I'm like, no, but he did this. It was like vengeance. I'm going to let the whole world know. And so we had to modify it a lot, but it still was a relief for me to get it out there, because I felt like, all right, I cleared the air and now I can move past it. And so that was a good part. It was like a healing journey for me, to be able to share my story. And it was also great for my business. I mean, it really was. And I had a bunch of members. And one of the things that I find that when we work with our clients, it should be that we focus on them and their story and how to support them on their journey. And quite often, they don't really get to know us on a personal level. And so, one of the great things about having your story published or in a book or somewhere where you can officially share it with your clients is that it helps them get to know us on a personal level, and it creates a bond that will hopefully get them to want to work with us longer, be more loyal to us, and then hopefully kind of be on our team where they want to refer clients to us. So that's a whole piece of this story part. Is it's a great way to connect with our current clients so they can get to know us in a way that we don't really want to talk about ourselves when we're working with our clients.
Yeah, and that is so true. And I was literally just having this conversation the other day with a group of people, and we were talking about your story,
Yeah.
and the fact that people need to get to know you and need to know who you are, because if not, you're not actually building a relationship. It's just
Mhm.
I find I the way I describe it. This is me, and not everybody describes it the same way. A customer is that person you just sold something to, and then they go away. A
Right.
client is somebody I've actually built a relationship with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you can't build a relationship. It can't be a one-way relationship. They need to
No.
know and understand who you are at a deeper level than just, hey, this is what she teaches me.
Well, I mean, the whole prospect to client to customer journey is the same way. I mean, I go to websites all of the time when I'm checking people out, that will connect with me, and I don't see anything about them on their website. And when you look at statistics on websites, the homepage is the number one visited place, and then the about page. And if I go to somebody's about page and it's just about more about the company and not about the person, like, I want to know why that person is so passionate about what they do. Because I can work with anybody. We could all buy a widget from anybody, but we want to buy a widget from the person that we relate with, because it is about building relationships. It is about creating that, customer, client, service provider, relationship together.
That is a massive, huge gem right there. It's so
Yeah.
many people think from a business standpoint, it's like, well, I have to get that next person. I have to get that next person. I have to get that next person. You're not getting the next person. You're getting the next relationship. So
Right.
what does that look like? Stop trying to sell stuff to people and start
Buy
trying to
my
build a
stuff.
relationship. Yeah.
Throwing up, shouting, buy my stuff. Right. As
Yeah.
opposed to like getting to know people, see how you can serve them, like getting to know their story. And if they're, interested in you, they want to get to know your story as well. Then it kind of creates that it's like dating, right? You're not going to just go get married right off the bat. You want to date, you want to check each other out. It's kind of like do the little circle thing. And that if your story is not out there, it makes it really hard for that circle to start.
So what are some tips, really quick, we've got just a few minutes left. So what are some tips of how to get your story out? I mean, other than to hook up with you and get into one of your collaboration books, how would somebody get their story out there? What are some ways to do that?
Well, I think the first challenge is people don't know necessarily what story to share. So that's the first thing. And sometimes it's hard for us to figure it out ourselves. Our story really in business should be about basically our why we're so passionate about what we do. And it's not always about our mess that became our mission. So that's why sometimes it's difficult to navigate, but you have to realize that your story, when you share it, should not be about you, because people don't care about you and your story. They care about their story, and they want to see you as the guide to help them accomplish their dream or their mission. And so creating the right story is all about defining your ideal avatar and making sure that your story aligns with their vision of what they want in their lives. And so once you kind of know what that is, I help clients put it together in many ways, obviously to publish it in a book, but your story bio, your story introduction, kind of like you did when you introduced me, your website, social media, using your story in so many ways. It is way more powerful than just sharing a bunch of stuff or asking people to work with you. That is not going to work. There's ways to use your story that will create that relationship way faster than any other way.
Yeah, your story is so incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It's one of your superpowers.
It is. Totally. It's
Yeah, I
totally.
mean, yeah, because I mean, it's what made you you and set you on the path to help others who are going through something like you said. You said earlier, they're just a few steps behind where you were, and
Mhm.
you can, reach down. You can reach down, hold their hand, and help pull them up.
Right.
Yeah,
Arm in
yeah,
arm.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can link on
Yeah.
and help them, and just think about that chain. You link on, and then in doing that, they build what they build, and then they have people link on, and it just, it expands. I just love that. I'm getting the visual in my head, of everybody linked
Yeah.
for the greater good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, no matter what it is that you're going through, no matter what you've done, use your story, people. Whoever's watching this, if this hasn't inspired you to write down your story and start using your story,
Yeah.
I don't know what will. Your story is just so amazing, and it will help others just like you. You said earlier, I wish somebody had, told me this stuff when I was going through it because it would have
Right.
made my journey so much easier.
Yeah, I wouldn't have felt so alone, and I would have had a little bit of hope, and I would have seen the light at the end of the tunnel because I would have seen what they went through and where they are now, and I would see myself in that.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things I think that we as humans do is we internalize and we think that it's like, well, this is just me and I'm the only one going through this. And we don't necessarily see when we're in the midst of it that, hey, you're not alone. I'm not alone. There's other people
Right.
who have done this.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people think that they need to get through it like they've got to figure it out, right? And not ask for help and not necessarily lean on others. And again, we need to link arms in whatever way that looks for us, but we definitely don't need to go through our challenges alone.
Yeah, I love that. As we're pretty much out of time here, and I think that's really the key point here is to start
Yep.
linking, use your story, and as you're building that that life purpose from that story. I'm sorry, my cat just jumped off and pulled my microphone off. Hopefully you can still hear me.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Awesome. So that life story of ours, share it wherever you can and write it out. And you made a really good point. Write it out raw first.
Oh, yeah.
Just let it go. Don't necessarily publish that version of it.
No, no.
But
Sometimes
write
you
it.
need to do that first version just to get it out of your system because it's a extremely therapeutic process to be able to reflect on that situation and just be able to see it from a new perspective.
Yeah, write it out, clear it out, and then go back and find those golden nuggets of information that you can share with others to make their life and their journeys easier. I
Yeah.
love this conversation. Thank you so much, Christy, for
Oh,
being here today.
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and so for anybody who's out there who wants to learn how to share a story or even talk to Christy about her collaboration books, her site is right here. It's a
Yeah,
sociatap.com.
it's kind of like a link. It's the same thing as the Linktree link. It's got a bunch of links on there. Yeah,
Ah, okay. I've never heard of sociatap, so okay.
yeah, yeah,
That's great. And so it's got a bunch of different links to go to your site, to connect
yeah,
up on Facebook or wherever.
yeah.
Awesome.
And
So
I'm
we'll
hosting a new workshop in January on writing your story using AI. So I'm taking my proven framework and some amazing AI prompts. We just did it last week, and I'm doing it again, an encore workshop to help people do it a lot faster.
I love that. I would love that after we get done here, drop that link in underneath the videos. If one
I'll
of
just
them are
update. I'll update my Sociotap things
perfect.
with yeah.
Perfect. And then people can check that out because that sounds amazing.
So
And
much fun.
yeah, and then once you get that story out there, you can use it in a book, you could use it in social media posts, you could use it in articles, you can use it all over the place to help
Mm.
your audience, whatever your audience is for your purpose. You can help your audiences all, just share and link.
Yep. Link arm. There we go. Love it.
So
I have to update my logo. Having the
yeah, that's
link.
what we're gonna do. We're all gonna link. I love that. Thank you
Oh my
so
gosh.
much, Christy, for your time. I
Regina.
really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Me too.
And for everybody else, thanks for joining us on Coffee with Regina, whether you're catching it live or on the replay. And we will see you next time. Bye for now.